Should we not just lay off the narcissist? They have had abuse too. Should we not just have compassion towards them?
Yes.
Absolutely. On their wound. So I have an Instagram account, and on there I do post about narcissism and the effects of narcissism, and I have received people who have commented below saying, you know, really lay off, why are you being so mean, can't stand people like you, always have to pick on the poor narcissist. They too have had abuse and trauma, and you're absolutely right. I've had some interesting DMs. One person has come across with fake accounts, someone has come to me through their friends and have sent me messages, and I have a really small account, which is what has made it really surprising that this has had such an effect on people. And yes, you're absolutely right. A narcissist has come from a narcissist. They have come from trauma. They have come from a wound. And I absolutely, in my courses and in my book, I talk about having compassion for the wound, for what the person went through, for their inner child. But the boundary is, this is not a get out of jail free card. If we look at people who are in the jail system, there isn't one who doesn't have a tragic story, a sad story, a story that if you knew and you heard would absolutely horrify you, the abuse that they went through. But we don't say, oh, shame, you know, this person went through this abuse, so this behavior is understandable and acceptable, so we're not going to put them in jail. They're not going to suffer from their consequences. The consequences of a narcissist's bad behavior doesn't have to be you throwing them under the bus, right? I'm not about that. I'm very particular about what I share, how much I share, and I do it as delicately as I possibly can. But I'm also not going to sit back and keep quiet. Growing up, what happened was there was a lot of trauma and a lot of abuse in my home. I had a very narcissistic stepfather who was very toxic, very dysfunctional, incredibly abusive in his way, in his manner. He liked to do things like reactive abuse was a big one of his drawing cards. He was very cruel. He was very Jekyll and Hyde-ish. My point is that at one point, my behavior, the way I was showing up at school, set off some alarm bells, and the school contacted my parents and they wanted to call them in and they had some questions. And as you can imagine, I was berated for this. I was pulled apart. I remember very clearly a core memory that I have is driving up a road and I was lambasted. I was screamed at because how dare I air our dirty laundry? Who do I think I am to do that? And that is the basic premises, the basic underlying message that I'm getting from people every now and again who feel like they want to comment on a post. Who do you think you are? How dare you do this? This is often a tactic of a narcissist to keep you silent. They don't want you to use your voice. They want you to lose it. If you don't use your voice, they stay empowered. What happens is that when we don't do that and when we keep quiet is we stay in the dysfunction, we stay in the abuse. For so many years of my life, after that, I think about it and I think about relationships. I think about people that I was living with, people I was engaged to. And I look at these scenarios, and again, not everyone is a full-blown narcissist. Not everyone has full-blown NPD. But I look at some of the toxicity, I look at the dysfunction, I look at where things went wrong. I see my part, the codependent part, the people-pleasing part, the part that I played into it. I see the part that they played in. I see what drew them in. I see what it was in me that they saw as being a way in to control and manipulate and use and abuse. And this is because for years and years and years, I didn't air my dirty laundry, so I didn't know what it was that needed to be healed within me so that I can stop the cycle of dysfunction and toxicity in my life. I am big on, in my small little sphere, in my little realm, speaking up and speaking out and saying, hey, this is what you need to look out for. And this is not to attack the narcissist. That is not my aim. This is not to say, oh my gosh, what terrible, horrible, evil people they are. That is not my aim. My aim is to say, we don't have to be a victim in our own abuse anymore. We can be the chain breakers to what is so often actually generational trauma, patterns that don't work for us that are passed on over and over again. In my particular situation where I was told, this was a message that was received by their parents, right? In different scenarios, in different ways, in different parts of the world, in different cultures. This was passed on. We're getting worse and worse and worse because this behavior normalizes the bad behavior. We think, okay, maybe there's something actually wrong with me. Maybe this is normal. And then we excuse the bad behavior. We accept the bad behavior. And sometimes, in some ways, we even repeat some of the bad behavior in our own lives because we bought into the idea that this is normal behavior. You need to use your voice. You need to maybe rock some boats and ruffle some feathers. And this is not to vilify them. This is not to abuse them or turn the tables on them. It's not to do anything like that. That is a very obviously delicate balance. That's a very fine line that we need to walk and make sure that we're not punishing them.